Hey guys, what's up? I'm Will Patterson. I'm a hand letterer, I make YouTube videos, and I'm a logo designer. And today I'm going to be showing you how to use the brush pen. Ever since I started posting on Instagram, I've been putting up pictures of me using a brush pen to get some awesome looking typography. A lot of you guys asked me questions about the brush lettering process, and today I'm giving you a short snippet of my course that's coming out in June, and it's talking all about lettering, logo design, but in this topic I'm talking about brush lettering. If you want more information about the course that is coming out, go and click the link in the description and sign up on that email to get notified of when it's available and to see some updates and stuff when it happens. So get ready, feel prepared, and check out the next part of this video. So here is my brush lettering set down here. I've got an overhead camera on. I'm excited to be bringing this to you. It's something that I've wanted to give to you guys for quite a while, and it's part of my up and coming course that's coming out in June. You can go and sign up somewhere in the description for more information about that. But anyway, here is all my brush pens. Now, I'm giving you a brief rundown on brush pens and some of the stuff about them, but I'm going to go through each and every one, and I'm going to show you how to get started with your brush pens, which will help you guys understand more about what we do and how it works and how you can get the sort of effects that you see on mine, my Instagram, and loads of other people's. So here is a brush pen. It just looks like a pen, but inside it's a brush. And outside of here, there is a cartridge, which you fill up, or you just insert a new cartridge every time, like a fountain pen, and it's got a specific ink in there for you to use. Now, this is like a standard brush. It works in the same exact way that a brush would normally work for painting, but this time it's got ink in it. Now, these are used for sort of Chinese calligraphy, Japanese calligraphy, getting confused there. And you can use them for different line weights. You can use them for drawing or painting or anything like that. So I'm going to be showing you how to use these brush pens to actually achieve the brush type effect. And brush typography, you've got to remember, is that it works the same way that normal calligraphy works, but there's a few technique changes to it. So I'm going to show you. This is a normal brush, and the way that this brush works is there's loads of like little hairs there, so it's really difficult to control. And there's so many different types of brush pens, but this one has a more natural feel towards it. It's very easy flowing and going. So if I wanted to write down, I'm just going to give you sort of a little demo here, like so. I always write this word out. Like this. It's not very well done because I just rushed that there. But that is the way that the brush pen works. Basically, you get these different letters here that says anticipate, and that's just a sort of a nice flowing word. And the way that I did that was through different line weights, and that is from the pressure of the brush. So you can see here that these letters here have got thin parts and thick parts, and I'm going to show you where to put those thin and thicks and how to practice getting them so you can get really nice consistent typography. So something you should know is that this brush pen here is probably not the brush pen that you want, simply because it is an actual brush on the end of the pen. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that it's a lot more difficult to control the actual strokes of the brush, and we need to be quite controlling and quite consistent. So I'm going to swap this one out to one that I normally use, or one that I can show you, and this is called the Copic Ciao, and it's spelt Copic, and then it's got the CIAO on it, and it's Copic Ciao 100, which just means black, and you get them in all sorts of different colors. And this has got like a chiseled end over here, which is nice for just, chiseled writing, and it's also got this end here, which is the brush end. And this brush pen is called a felt tip brush pen, or a felt brush pen, and it is still a brush, but it's a felt tip, or it's got the material on it's felt, so it's not like an actual brush. It's flexible, so you can use it. Now I'm going to write the same word, anticipate, just to give you a little idea of what it's like. This is an alcohol sort of ink, so it smells really, depending on your preference, good or bad. If you're for solvent abuse, I am not for solvent abuse, obviously. But yeah, it's the same thing. But as you can see, when I'm doing it, it's a lot easier to control because, well, I'm saying that, but I'm not probably doing it justice. But it's easier to control overall. I'm just like messing around just now with this to show you. Just pressing and into here. And that's the felt brush pen. Felt brush pens come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. This is another one. This is most popular, called the Tombow Dual Brush Pen. And it's the same thing, felt over here. And it's also got this normal sort of pen bit here on the end, felt tip pen bit. And it's the same thing as the Copic, apart from the ink is, I think it's a better pen, but there's disadvantages and advantages to this one. But I'll just give you a little preview again. Cool. So that is the Tombow, and the advantages of this is I prefer the consistency. So that is very consistent. These line downs with the same pressure, they remain consistent. The ups are quite consistent. What I don't like about this is that the tip of the pen, which happens with a lot of felt brush pens, actually sort of degrades over time. So it's not very fun anymore to work with. And you can see that it doesn't give you that fine stroke. It sort of gives you that weathered stroke on the way up. That's because the material is sort of being flayed out from extended use. And there's no real way to get rid of that unless you're really careful. So now I've shown you the inner workings of each of the pens or the brush pens. I'm going to show you using the felt tip pens because it'll be easier for you guys to see. I'm going to show you guys how to use these and the sort of principles behind using them. It's all about practice and stuff, so don't feel like you're doing anything wrong or don't feel like giving up or anything. Just keep practicing. It's all about getting your muscle memory working out right here, because if you get your muscle memory working, you'll never forget how to do it. It's sort of like one of those things that you have to learn with your body instead of just your mind. So I'm going to show you some practice procedures right now, just so you can learn what the basics of lettering or brush calligraphy is all about. So the basics of brush calligraphy is all about thicks and thins and consistency within that. So I'm going to draw the letter U or just write the letter U with this brush pen, and I'm going to go down thick and I'm going to come up thin. I'm going to do the same again, down thick and up thin. Cool. That isn't the best U ever, but it'll help me get you to understand what I'm talking about. So down here we have got the letter U, and with this there is two main elements to each of these lines here. These lines are together making the U, but they could also be an I, just one I, and I'm going to just sort of annotate this for you now. So over here we've got the main body of the letter form here, and this is the thing that identifies that letter form, is this part here, and this is going to be the thickest part. Down here, which is the bottom part of the letter form, I've just completely disfigured this now, but the bottom part of this letter form is all the small connectors. So the reasoning behind this is that I went thick down and then I went thin up, and we continue to do this. Let me put it this way. If you're going to go ahead and draw any letter in the brush lettering alphabet or in any alphabet, how you write it will determine where the thick and thins are. The thicks should be when your arrow is coming down, and the thins should be when you are coming up. Down for the thick, up for the thins. Down for the thick, up for the thins. Down for the thick, up with the thins. Down, up, down, up. Once you get this idea of down for the thick, up with the thins, down thick, up thin, down thick, up thin, then it will help you so much, because that is the muscle memory that people struggle with the most when it comes to brush lettering. When you're coming down like this, you want to make sure that this line that you've just done is going to be consistent with the next line that you've done. That also takes sort of like muscle memory, but in reality it's the pen as well that helps you with this. And to get that smooth flow, it's just pressing down with your arm a little bit and releasing. You're not pressing down with your fingers as much, otherwise you'll get a very jerky experience. So the more you practice this, the better you'll get. But make sure you practice it, you know, slowly and intentionally and steadily. So now I'm going to show you some of the other basic letter forms as well, and I'm going to show you how they work. So with this idea of coming down and up, we've got the thick stroke coming down and the thin stroke coming back up, and that is the general idea. What if we do an O, like a big O? There's different ways that we can do O's, and one of the ways that you can do an O is by coming up at the top, coming down thick, and then starting to release, and then come down thick again. So remember when I said, whenever your hand is coming up, up is going to be thin, if I can write that out, and down is going to be thick. So just remember that anytime that your hand is coming down, it's going to be a thick stroke. So if I write, I don't know, air again, I'm going to do my A. My A starts off thin on the side here because it's always easier to start off thin with a circle. Then over here I'm going to go thicker on the downstroke and thin on the way back up. It doesn't look very good because I did it really slow, but I'll do it again, thick, thin. And then I'm going to add the little connector here, thick and thin. That's an A. And if I was to write an I, it is exactly the same as this connector here, I. And then an R, they are weird, but there's something to learn. That is an R, and it's sort of like this sort of shape here. The last thing I wanted to give you guys a little hand with when it comes to brush lettering is consistency. Now, don't feel daunted about brush lettering because it's actually a lot easier to remember than people think. All you need to do is look for the consistencies. I can draw out an I and a U and an A with basically the same sort of way that you draw out any other letter forms, and that's just the way it works. Let me explain. So I'm going to draw out an I, just a lowercase I. This is an I with a little thing on the top. So it's gone down thick and it's come up thin. If I wanted to do a U, I'll do it over here. I'll just need to draw two I's, but make sure it's connecting. Like so. Now this U needs to be consistent with the I, and it is already. You can see that these are just two I's joined together. And that is the way that it works, just two I's joined together. What about an N? Well, with an N, we come down and we've got this sort of down placement here. Then we come back up and then come back down again. That's a really bad N. So I'm going to show again. A U. And an M. Maybe a B. Again, I'm not the best at this at the minute because my hands are not in the right place where they would be. They're sort of really out in front of me. So you can see that everything has to be consistent. If I was to write num again, let me explain this. I come down for the N, and then on the upstroke of this part is thin, and then I start getting thick around this corner. And then I bring it up and do the same as the I. So it's basically an I, but we've gone from thin to thick, thin to thick. And that's basically the way it works. A good practicing technique for this is basically just going ahead and thick, thin, 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 and doing this and trying to get it. My pen is knackered, but trying to get this as good as possible. And this is what creates the muscle memory. So if I wanted to write N-U-M, or with a B at the end, it would be num, but if I was to write N-U-M, this will give you a really good representation of what I've been talking about. So N is just N, come up, down, thick. And you can see that there's a thin line here, which is a contrast, but both these lines here are going down at the same angle, and they're both as thick as each other. The U is two I's, if we remember, coming up, which is brilliant. And the M is basically an N with another bit on the end of it, with a connector. So anytime you finish a letter, just bring a connector over here, unless you just can't. Numa, there's Numa for you. But there are so many different ways that you can do it, and that is just the way that it works. And yeah, that's just how it works with brush lettering. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it helped. Make sure you go and share this video, subscribe if you already haven't, and if you've made it this far, well done. Remember to go buy more than just one brush pen if you are, because you will run out of them very quickly when just starting out to practice. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on Friday.